Welcome back to the Coach Approach. It's your coach, Blake the Black Faker, the one and only, the coach that has been coaching for almost 8 years, coached over 1,000 students, and some other stuff, but I mean, y'all don't care about my life. In this video, we're going to be looking at a Pro Guides video. I was sent this, and I was like, I gotta get my hands on it. This hidden OP champion is your free ticket to Diamond. Now, I've been Diamond about 4 to 5 times. 4 for sure, 5 I don't know, it's foggy, but 4 for sure. And I can tell you right now, there's no one champion. A, it's going to be banned. B, it doesn't fit all the roles. C, good luck. But I think this is going to be a good one. Now, I hope they say it's this particular role, something like that. But without further ado, let's get started. I'm here to bring you the videos you deserve. Content you deserve. Videos. I mean, it's not scripted, so if I mess up, I'm sorry. Anyway, let's get into it. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and set this up here. Here we go. It might be a little loud. I'm not sure, but I'm not going to talk while it's going, so don't worry about it. Without further ado, though, let's get started. Pro Guides.
Hello summoners and welcome to another Pro Guides video. Today we'll be discussing one of League of Legends' most obscure champions, a fabled creature shrouded in mystery, wrapped in an enigma. It's Aurelion Sol. Legend has it that Aurelion Sol is spotted once every 1,000 games.
That's the truth. I'm maybe more than that, but I don't know about Aurelion Sol being the one trick, unless they did something to him. I didn't recall it.
But that the worthy can master him. Recently we sat down with one of the greatest Aurelion Sols in the world, pick his brain about League's favorite space dragon. Always plan ahead. Before we get too far into it though, our question of the day is, which champion do you...
So let's get past the question of the day. Let's just kind of hop in. So first of all, he just said Challenger Aurelion Sol player. So this guy, not saying he's a bad player, but when you reach a certain rank with a one trick, that's basically saying that you don't really know a lot about the whole game. Just kind of about your champion and the whole game that revolves around your champion. Like I said, I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying climbing a one trick is bad or anything like that, but there's a reason why pros aren't one tricks. There's a reason why they need to be doing more than one thing. There's a reason why when they practice and they climb in solo queue, you see them playing different roles and stuff like that, because there's more to just League than just one champion spamming it. And like I said, it's perfectly fine if you do. No worries about it. I'm just saying, when you see videos like this and they're saying that, unless you're in really a one trick, some of the stuff that they might say to you just might not hit the mark on what you need to be doing. Every player has their own styles, and copying someone else's play style is really, really hard to do because they're not them. So
the amateur competitive scene, where he looks to pilot the Star Forger to make his way all the way up to the pro scene. In this video, we'll be doing a VOD review of Always Plan Ahead's Aurelion Sol play to see how he executes his games and pick up some tips and tricks.
Okay, so Always Plan Ahead, I don't know who that is, but he just said they're going to Academy, and then they're going to be going to the pro scene. Like I said, that's not going to happen if you can only play one champion. I'm telling you guys that right now. You are not going to get picked up by a team if you can only play one champion and play other champions mediocrely. Especially if you're a mid laner. Like, that's not happening. Maybe if you're a support, you can get away with it, but they're not looking for that. Maybe in NA they are, but any other respectable region. Let me stop. I'm sorry.
Now onto his champion of choice. Aurelion Sol is one of the most unique champions in the entirety of League of Legends. Originally teased as Ao Shin long before his release, Aurelion Sol is a maker of stars, and he reflects this in-game through his passive, which keeps stars rotating around him and by wandering the cosmos. Well, mostly wandering down to bot lane to 4-man me and my ADC for the 3rd time in 10 minutes, but the cosmos. His orbiting stars let him push...
Okay, so I'm going to skip this because it doesn't matter. We already know what Aurelion Sol does. And if you don't, watch that on your own time.
Implement this uniquely roaming based kit.
I just don't want you guys to have to watch a really long video of
damage isn't exactly astounding, but being able to stun in such a wide area is. His ultimate lets him blast them back to the...
Okay.
A large part of his power is due to the fact that nobody even knows what he does. Like, when was the last time you saw a devoted Aurelion Sol player? I think I spotted one in an ARAM last year, but it's entirely likely that...
That's not a good reason to one trick a certain champion, because nobody knows what he does. That is true though. You can get by with a lot. Let me check my green screen real quick. I don't want to. Okay, it's still good. You can get by playing a champ that nobody knows, and it is true. You catch them off guard, but when you get to the higher elos, especially when you start seeing the same people over and over again, and that's usually around diamondish, you're not going to be able to pull that off anymore. But it doesn't really matter playing a champ that people don't know, because if you're better than the players in the game, you would win anyway.
That this was just a hallucination. The point is, people aren't aware of exactly what his abilities do, and they especially aren't aware of his power spikes and his damage. So they have no knowledge of when to trade or when they can and can't win an all-in.
So I'm pausing the game because what he just says, they don't know the knowledge about the champion, they don't know when to trade. If you're one-tricking your champion, you don't have the knowledge and know when to trade and stuff like that unless it's with your champion. Same thing for the other player playing it, right? They're not going to know if you're a one-trick when exactly your power spike really is. If you have 1,000 games on a champ and they don't know that champ 1,000 games deep, it's really hard to get that. And even as a coach, I know these champions. I've played all these champions. I've studied all these champions. And even though I know all this stuff about the champions, I'm not saying I know everything about League of Legends. I don't. But I know a lot about some of these champions, and I'll have a student every now and then. It's pretty rare. Maybe like 1 out of like 50 sessions or something, maybe, if that. They'll be like, you know, my champion does this, or I'll say something, they're like, you know, he can do this, and it's like, really? And then I'll learn from them. You know, just because I'm a coach and they're a student doesn't mean I can't learn from them, and it's really interesting to know that. But with that being said, that's from someone who actually studies the game and not just an average player that's just playing to rather play for fun or play to rank up. They're not going to know your champion regardless unless they main that champion. So that is a false advertisement claim right there. I don't like that.
Against him. People underestimate Aurelion Sol's damage frequently, which leads to equally frequent deaths on their part. Beyond the simple aspect of people not knowing him well though, the best thing mid laners can do for their team in the current meta is win their side lanes through well-timed roams. And Aurelion Sol objectively is one of the best champions in the game to accomplish that task.
I definitely agree he is one of the best champions to do it, but not the best. And by all means, every mid laner can roam. That's not really a good reason to pick him up. So I'm just kind of debunking that there. You guys know this is what I do. I'm not flaming him. I'm not saying that videos are terrible. I'm merely just saying what I think is going to help you, and that these claims that I'm seeing so far are not helpful. It doesn't make sense, and they're just trying to lean into the fact that they made a video like this.
Every time I see an Aurelion Sol ping that he's on his way to bottom lane and see him pop his E to run a lane-size stun down to us, I hear Flight of the Valkyries play and brace myself. The champion is insane. It's just that his uniqueness demands a level of dedication that most players aren't willing to put forth.
And his kit now is worse than it was before. They've changed him in a way where he's really, really weird, and he's not that great. And unless you are already a one-trick, even though I know one-trick Aurelion Sols that don't even play him anymore because of that change. So it's odd to see this video come out after when people don't really want to play him because Riot kind of messed him up. A little awkward. Maybe it was just a filler content for him, because you know this channel, most channels like these that try to give you the clickbait, the quick tips and stuff like that, they usually update almost every day of a video. So sometimes there are going to be the fillers, and you know.
How do we build it? Generally speaking, there are currently 3 rune pages for Aurelion.
Not going to go too much about building the building of the champs. Don't care too much about that.
This build is perfect for Aurelion Sols. With this,
I said before, I don't want you guys to be watching a long video for no reason. If it doesn't get to the point of what it's making, then it doesn't really make much sense. I don't want to waste you guys' time. So what we got next? I like that YouTube breaks the video up now. All right, combos.
His first combo is his defensive combo. Your
This is
Q
just like a
stun goes
guide.
inside. To put it bluntly,
Okay, let's look
survivable
at weakness.
bursty champions that have dashes. To put it more specifically,
So every mage doesn't like that type of situation. So that's something that you could take into all your games as a mage. You know, as mage players, you guys know this, huh? You don't like things that can gap close, and that goes for every mage, not
Belia
just him.
and Diana. And staying there while they obliterate him with their well, the first step is the phase rush build. It's an absolute must when dealing with these kinds of...
Okay. There are different builds for different champions. When I coach players, I never say, oh, this build is the one you have to go. I let players pretty much do what they want to do when it comes to builds and runes. I will only speak up on those things if I feel it's hurting them. So if I see a Teemo building Phantom Dancer, I'm going to say something. But yeah, for the most part, I don't really... Everybody has their own style of play, and I respect that. My job is to build you guys up. It is not to reform you guys or reshape you guys. So I don't really care too much about the runes and what you guys take.
You can negate the...
All right, so let's look at the VOD
some
review.
of this in practice.
Here we go.
So here we see our hero always plan ahead, laning against Vladimir. He's elected to go for the standard phase rush build since the enemy team will be hard to burst. So we can assume he'll be working towards Rod of Ages.
Honestly, if you're playing Aurelion Sol, do phase rush every single game. Don't go out unless you get really, really good at him. It's just really, it's easier for you to reposition when you're in trouble, and it's insanely hard to play any other rune page other than the phase rush until you get used to him. So I recommend
as soon as
that.
possible. Here we see Always Plan Ahead go for a basic Aurelion Sol trade. He uses his superior pushing to hit level 2 and starts stacking the wave. As soon as Vladimir steps up, Always Plan Ahead throws out his Q stun and activates his W, getting poke in on Vladimir, landing the stun, then letting his stars get in a little extra damage before they retract. This is the primary Aurelion Sol trading pattern, as it allows for what's referred to as the cheat recall. So it's the third wave, aka the cannon wave. Always Plan Ahead has pushed Vladimir into his tower, and is now decimating the wave.
So A, he's kind of right. B, he's kind of wrong. He's telling you what's happening, but he's not telling you how to deal with things that just don't allow you to free push. So you're going to go into a game with Aurelion Sol or with any mage. Maybe you want to try the tactic out with anyone. And you're going to go against a laner that is not going to allow you to push, especially in higher ranks, and you're not going to know what to do. So really take this type of stuff, especially VOD reviews like this, or where they're looking at someone's gameplay, no matter what channel it is, with a grain of salt, because it is telling you that exact scenario, and if you put yourself in there, then it's okay. But usually it does not explain anything else about other situations you could be coming into. So remember that.
He recalls, grabs a ruby crystal, and refreshes his corrupting potion. One singular minion, look on the ground by the...
His shove is pretty good though, I'm not gonna lie. But
right?
There's still like some champions that is just not gonna allow him to do that.
You can this wave clear and caster minions. Het uses this time to put up a ward over the wall to keep himself safe. Throughout this VOD, you'll see him make use of these.
Be really careful about putting a ward over the wall, especially when the jungler knows you're gonna be shoving, because he is because he's Vladimir, and that's Aurelion Sol. If the jungler does show up, it's not like he's gonna die. Vladimir is shoved in a little bit. I mean, he can still react, but he just doesn't have that much kill potential. But when you're dealing with a champion in the mid laner, or in the mid lane and in the jungle that does, and maybe the jungler's right there waiting for you to do that, you will die. I've been that jungler that has done that. I've seen it happen, and I've been on the opposite side of that. So be really, really careful when you're going to roam, when you're going to put wards and stuff like that, and you are spotted doing it, that you take heed to that, because there are champions that are mid laners that will just collapse with the jungler and you'll just die. So the only reason why this is okay here is because there's not much kill threat with him, and I don't know who the jungler is, but it doesn't really matter. There shouldn't be a jungler that has so much kill pressure early like this at level 5. Well, he would be level 3 or 4 and be able to one shot. No way. So he's perfectly fine, but just remember to do that.
Time windows to great effect. This is only the second example. Another good use of the time window between waves, Always Plan Ahead, moves up river looking for the roam, but instead finds a control ward. He destroys it, still applies pressure on the map, then returns to lane without missing anything. This is another little trick that Aurelion Sol excels at, the recall bait. He fakes a recall here, knowing that Vladimir will try to interrupt it. And as soon as Vladimir foolishly re-enters Aurelion Sol's range, Always Plan Ahead.
It doesn't matter what champ you're playing, you could do that, and I don't know if it was a recall bait or if he just wanted to recall and he stopped him and he pushed him back. You don't know. He's not that player, so he can't really say for sure unless he got that player and said, hey, this is what I was doing. He could have just been recalling. We can't see the gold. We can't see the map. We can't see anything. And that's kind of why I don't like this type of videos, because there's a lot that could be going on that you just don't see. And they're making it like they're voicing their opinion to what you can see. So it's basically painting that picture for you, and you can't paint the picture yourself. So what I'm saying here is he probably just wanted to back. He could have. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying he could have. And then Vladimir, of course, just walked up to try to stop it, which would be a really good play on his part. Even if he is low, Vladimir can self-sustain, so it doesn't matter that he gets out-traded like that. Their jungler should not be looking for a fight, because Vladimir is not that good of an early game laner. So the jungler is not going to look to force a fight. So this trade right here doesn't really do anything to the other team, because they already know they can't really do anything with Vladimir. So it's not like, oh, he's low, he can't do this. And like I said, Vladimir is self-sufficient. He can stay in lane if he really wants to, because he'll just, heal up.
Gets even more free damage. Here again, we see Always Plan Ahead make use of Aurelion Sol's fast return to lane. He recalls, buys quickly, then ease back. He returns to lane.
I don't like how he says makes use of the fast recall. It's the same with any champ that has leaps, dashes, whatever. You usually just dash to get back to lane.
So quickly, in fact, that he's able to interrupt Vladimir's recall, leaving him with the option to either A, go finish recalling, but leave.
He makes it seem like the Aurelion Sol is just that fast. Vladimir has a terrible, especially early, terrible time shoving the wave. So regardless of him being fast to come back to lane, doesn't matter. He would have still been overstaying because of the simple fact that, especially in lower ranks, because that's a slow push. He can't really push that fast. So it's really up to him to say, okay, I want to freeze it here and recall and then get back to lane. And because I recalled second, he's going to be back and shoving. I'm going to lose all that CS or try to shove up to make him have to shove forward. And at least I won't lose as much. But I am going to be taking longer to get back on the map. It really doesn't matter what went down here, but like I said, he has a slow push. Doesn't matter regardless of how fast he got back. He would have been doing the same thing. He would have either he would have missed minions because he left it there and he showed up and cleared it, or regardless, he's coming back later.
The lane state at Always Plan Ahead's mercy, or B, stay and be stuck with a simple Doran's Ring in comparison to Aurelion Sol's Catalyst and Boots.
Yep, exactly. But once again, if you stop someone's back, they're not going to just back. They're going to just stay in lane. Doesn't matter what it is. But he is right. It does give you two options. You stay with what you got, or you just lose kind of lane because now you got to back. And most of the time, the laner will sit and stay. In this situation, I probably would back myself and just re-recall because that's a lot of minions that he has to clear. But maybe there's pressure or something that he wants to. Look, I don't know what the other player's thinking.
But as a result of his weakness and his consistent inability to get a good
he could just not be a Vladimir player too.
Recall in, he lacks the pressure to contest his enemy's play to take the first dragon. Yet another moment where Always Plan Ahead uses his champion's map pressure to relieve stress for his side laners. All he has to do is leave vision and the enemy starts spamming missing pings. The enemy
that goes for any laner. You leave vision. That's why I recommend people push the wave and walk back out the lane. You sit there, and they're like, "Oh, he's MIA." You didn't even have to leave. You could just sit there, and that still creates the same pressure Aurelion Sol would create. It's not a champion-based thing.
Top laner backs off, and he buys his own top laner some much-needed space. This is just a picture-perfect example of Aurelion Sol spacing. There's nothing much to say other than just watch how well he maintains that perfect distance to outtrade Vladimir. It's just step for step right where he needs to be. Alright, let's end things with this really good teamfight clip.
That is true. You really have to worry about your spacing when you're playing Aurelion Sol. I will not lie. That champ takes some skill, and and he is really different from other champ. You are gonna have to get good at doing it at all stages of the game. But once you get it, you got it. It's like a bike. It's hard at first, but when you start getting it, you get it.
The fight begins in top, but Always Plan Ahead is cut off from his team by the Renekton TP. He activates his W to start dealing some damage while he kites towards the alcove.
One thing to note, he is level 14. I'm going to assume he's pretty fed. He's pretty farmed up. He's going to have more items than these guys. This shouldn't really be that hard for him to deal with, especially because I'm pretty sure his team is going to be following it up. But let's see. I could be wrong. I'm just saying it from the looks of it. He's level 14, which means he was winning lane, and then he has more gold he has to have because of his HP bar is thick. So I mean he has
He bobs and weaves for a bit, then keeps his spacing right where it needs to be to activate his W again and dish out even more damage. He sees his Maokai is on the way, mind you, so he goes as long as he can, then pops the Zhonya's Hourglass to keep himself alive. The enemy team surrounds him. He then times his Q stun perfectly out of Zhonya's, stuns them, and escapes to the safety of Maokai, so he can dance around the fight dealing star damage. It's just so much immaculate spacing. It's not flashy, but it's really impressive.
Okay, let's break this clip down from Blake.
Dealing some damage while he kites.
So you see that he is going to. He definitely does that. Like I said, his team was coming. There's no way in hell he would have even wasted Zhonya's. He probably would have, but I mean, his team was coming. It was obvious, and also we already knew he was going to stay alive because he is ahead of everybody in the game. Like all those champions right there. 2, 4, 5 champ, and then Lulu's coming up, which is level 10. He's a higher level than all of them, so this isn't really that crazy of a play.
He bobs and weaves for a bit.
Okay, so now he's here. He knows that King left. If King would have came in, he'd be in more trouble than he was. He would have, got the knock up as soon as he came out of Zhonya's, but he didn't.
Then keeps his spacing right where it needs to be.
He comes a little late, and instead of using his W, he decides to use his Q for some random reason. He then used his stars to get his phase rush, which was a really good play, and then, just eat out. Not really anything insane here.
Alcove. He bobs
once again, he used his he used the Aphelios used his Q to snare him, which didn't really need to be done because he's stuck in that little area. This was more of them playing kind of poorly than him playing well. Clearly these guys don't have as much experience on their champions as he has on his, so it looks really, really easy to outshine them. Kind of like when you see someone that just pops off in your games. It's the same thing. It's like, dude, that guy just has a ton of games.
Really impressive.
I'm not downplaying him. Like I said, he's good. I'm not downplaying him at all. But I am saying that they're making that play seem a little bit embellished.
And before we go, though, we're going to wrap it up with some more direct questions to Let's Plan Ahead.
Hey guys, my name is Ian, also known as Always Plan Ahead, and I am a Challenger ASOL main.
What advice would you give for people picking up Aurelion Sol to climb solo queue?
Initially, I would figure out what runes you should take for specific matchups, because these runes are very versatile. And then after that, the next biggest thing would be star management and how to land basically every single star you can.
What funny thing I find when he's not wrong, by the way, but funny thing that I find when people interview challengers and whatnot, the way that they explain themselves compared to the way that like a coach would, because a coach is good at that, it's hilarious. Because it's like, that they want to give you the information, but they just don't know how to say it properly because they don't do it. They just play and they improve themselves. They don't teach people. So it's funny to see it. Like, I'm not saying he's dumb. I'm not saying he doesn't know anything. I'm just saying the delivery is different because I've been doing it for a long time and he hasn't been, or other coaches have been doing it for a long time. So you can easily deliver what you're trying to say in the way that it needs to be said, especially to that specific person. I just think it was funny though. They all sound like that when you ask a challenger player or just anyone in general about how to do something, and they're not really that good at telling it.
Do you think the rumor of North American mids being worse than imports to be true?
As a general basis, yes, but there are certain mids that are better and have the chance to improve to become much better than imports.
I agree.
Do you think the Amateur League is much worse than the Academy League?
Yes, because outside of like the, I guess you could say like top 8 teams, skill discrepancy falls off very hard.
I don't really know if you guys want to see this, so I'm going to just fast forward it.
Pro. You can find me on twitch.tv.
Already, make sure to check out your game to the next.
Okay, so let's grade this video. I'm gonna have a grade system. I'm gonna make some effects or something and be like bing or something like, I don't know. I'm gonna have a grade system though, and the grade system from F to A on how relevant this video would be to you and using it as a learning tool. I'm gonna say about a D- to an F. The only reason I said that is because if you're not an Aurelion Sol main, this ain't for you. If you're trying to be an Aurelion Sol main and you think it's going to give you LP, this ain't for you. It's not going to happen. And the fact that they said this hidden OP champion is your free ticket to Diamond, good luck. The champ's hard, so you have to get good at the champion. Then you got to get good at mid lane. Pretty much doing the same things you would have to do to climb there with any champion in any role and things like that. So this video was definitely a clickbait video, but it is really informative to players that are actually in Aurelion one trick and need to use that. But was it clickbait? It definitely was. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. I hope this helped you guys out. If you guys have any other videos you want to submit me to test if it is clickbait or not, feel free to message me, whether it be in the comments below or in my Discord. If you're not part of my Discord, link in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. And until next time, you know what I always say. Thank you guys for approaching this like a coach.